Greetings and welcome to my channel. In this video, I will introduce you to the exciting world of the detailed Social Security calculator and use it to determine payment break-even ages for people born after 1960. This is my series on Social Security benefits. Each week, I will present information mostly in the form of charts and calculations based on the Social Security Administration's benefits calculator. This information is for education and entertainment purposes, as each individual has specific needs and circumstances. I mostly want to present information on how the system works and provide examples. I hope this will help me decide on my own plan of action. First, this is where I got the calculator. There's a basic calculator on the site, but the detailed one allows you to enter very specific information. One of the reasons I used the detailed calculator is because I wanted to see what happens if I don't have any income from the age of 48 on, since I have retired early. Here's the actual program you download from Social Security. It's just an executable file. I'll be calling it AnyPIA. I'm not exactly sure what it stands for, but I assume the PIA is for primary insurance amount, which is how Social Security refers to the full retirement age benefit at 67 for anyone born after 1960. The any could just mean any, since the calculator allows you to calculate any PIA, no matter age or income. To start using the program, we need to fill in some forms in order for it to have some information to calculate, because as of right now, calculate estimate, there's no information, and it'll keep prompting you each time if you try to calculate and you don't have all the information you need, it will prompt you for some missing information. So it starts with the worker's month of birth, and we enter all that stuff under these forms. So you start with worker info, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and pull up my saved information, and we'll work from there. It'll be a lot easier if these forms are already filled in somewhat. So name can be whatever once you're social, but obviously I'm not going to enter that here. Date of birth, I just entered a random month and day from the year I was born, so that information is required. You don't need address, you don't need any of these options. I do have military service, but even if I check this box and put in any number of years or whatever, it doesn't seem to impact my payment. So that might be something I look into later, but it's definitely not something that's impacting my calculations now. Sex really doesn't matter for the calculation. We do want to calculate old age benefit though. And then the final thing down here at the bottom, number of family members, is set to 0. So the next form we'll go to is supplemental worker information. Now, what we're looking at here, we have the date of entitlement, and what we're going to do, I'm going to use the month and year that I would turn 62, 67, and 70. So we're going to do 3 separate calculations. I'm not going to walk through all of those now, just know that this is where we would enter that information. The specified earning years, since I want to manually enter every year of income, this is where I would enter which years I'm going to manually enter. So I'm from 1989 to 2040. We are not doing any backward earning projections, and we're not doing forward earning projections either. So that's really all we need in this in this form here. Next form is assumptions. We are not going to, we're looking at everything in today's dollars. So benefit increase, we're going to do no increase, beginning with the 2021 benefit increase. So we're going to select that. I'm not entering any income, so it doesn't really even matter what I put here, but no increase beyond 2019 average wage. And because we're not increasing our wages, uh, this field for projected wage base doesn't matter. It just changes how it calculates the indexed wage increase. So for our purposes, we're looking at everything in today's dollars, so we're doing no increases to anything. And the final form is where we enter our income every year for all the years that we selected earlier. So I've already done that. You'll notice in any year after this year, in 2024, for example, zero income. And I can show you that later um, in the results here on the AnyPIA calculator. And as you enter them, you can just hit next year, enter the amount, and then keep going. If you don't want to do that, if you want the program to project your earnings, then you would select different things. But in this case, I'd really wanted to know what would happen if my income is zero between now and the time I collect Social Security, since I have already qualified to get Social Security. It does hurt my average and will reduce my payment, but that's how we're going to do it. So to show you how this works, I'm going to go ahead and change my date of entitlement to 2040, which is going to be at age 67 or full retirement age. When I change this, you'll notice the results page goes basically back to blank. We have to go to File and Calculate Estimate. So this gives us our results. Now, I'm not going to go over everything in here, but there are some important numbers that we need for the break-even calculation that we're doing. So we notice that our primary insurance amount, so this is what we would get at our full retirement age, is $1,510.80. And down here, we have the delayed increment factor. Which in this case is 1. And this just multiplies our primary insurance amount by 1 in this case because it's our full retirement age of 67. If we were to retire at 62, this number would be 0.7. So we would get 70% of this amount. And at age 70, this is a 1.24, which obviously would increase our retirement benefit. Oh, scroll down too far. So our benefit before rounding, benefit after rounding. The after rounding is what our actual payments would be. So it's just rounding down to the nearest dollar. So at age 67, we could expect that our Social Security checks monthly would be $1,510. Some other information down here. So I scroll through. This is where I entered my annual earnings, and you'll notice down here at years 22 through 40, they're all zeros. We're not going to worry about these amounts out here. This next section is the indexed earnings. Basically, it has my actual earnings on the left side here, and then it calculates an indexed earnings. So it's basically wage inflation index. So my $995 I earned back in 1989 when I was 16 is the equivalent of 2678 now. So what they're doing is they're doing basically an inflation adjusted, but it's a wage inflation adjustment, and calculating what your income would be wage inflation adjusted over here. Because they're going to use these numbers as an average income for your lifetime. And you'll notice down here, there are 2 zeros that are being averaged in. And the reason that is because they calculate the highest 35 years. Well, I only have 33 years up here. So when I get, it has to add in 2 more years. So it just goes to the last 2 years and I get zeros. So those zeros get averaged in with my income. So down here, we have the PIA calculation. And the first thing it does is it finds my average indexed monthly earnings. It's AIME, AIM. So my AIM, it adds up all the average earnings, divides them by the number of months total, and gives me this average indexed monthly earnings of $2,916. So this is what it's going to base my calculation off of. The bend points just have to do with how much, like we get a percentage, we get 90% of the lower bend point. So most of our payment, if we're lower income, is going to come from this first 996. So if you averaged $996 in income over your lifetime, or the highest 35 years anyway, you would get 90% of that. And then as you earn more, they take less percentage of the higher incomes. So in my case, that 2916, I get 90% of the 996, 32% of anything over that, because 6002 is the higher bend point, and I don't average over 6002. So anything over 6002 would be an additional 15%. But in my case, it only takes these first two into account. That's why this 0.15 is multiplied by 0. So it calculates my PIA at $1,510.80. We're not going to worry about maximum family benefit. I used the benefit results to create this spreadsheet. I entered the benefit as a total received at the end of each year, like here at age 63. And then I have a column for the cumulative amount. So by age 93, I would have collected $393,204 in checks. Cumulative at age 67, totaling $471,120 at age 93, and cumulative for age 70. And that's $516,948. I only went down to age 93 just because I needed enough to cover wherever the break-even points were. Here's the chart where the cumulative amounts are plotted. The first break-even is just under age 79 for collecting at 62 versus 67. The second break-even is between 80 and 81 for collecting at 62 versus 70. And finally, the last break-even is between 82 and 83 for collecting at 67 versus age 70. Notice that the slopes of each of these, the lowest or least steep is for collecting at 62 because our monthly payments are the least. At 67, we have the green line, and at 70, we have the blue line, which is the steepest. So you notice that the blue line is the highest anywhere after age 82 and a half or so. How is the increase by weighting calculated? You'll see here I've got a chart that shows our increases for the first 5 years. It goes by month, and from 62 to 64, it's 5% per year, or 5/12% each month. And then from 64 to 67, it's 5/9% each month, which ends up being about 6.67% per year. Obviously at 67, it's full PIA, your full primary insurance amount. 68 and 69, the calculator is kind of weird because it gives you the remaining months from your birth month in the previous year. So if it's December, if your birth month is December, and you're actually 68, and enter that in the calculator, it's only going to give you a 0.67% increase, not a full 8%. Now, I think according to the website, you would get the full 8% in January, but I'm not 100% sure. It's something I'll probably learn more about as I go, but for some reason the calculator does it. But when you hit age 70, even if your birth month is December, it will show the full 124%. So you do get your full 8% for that last year on the calculator. So I'm not sure what's happening here at 68 and 69. I entered a bunch of different birth months and collection months, and this is what it does for some reason. Because 0.67% times 12 is going to be the full 8%. I don't know what it's doing, but it does it on a monthly basis, but it's off of your birth month and how many months are left in the previous year. So it's kind of weird. What are the takeaways? First, I want to reiterate this is just for educational entertainment purposes. I hope to teach people a little about how the system works so you can ask the right questions when it comes time to make a decision. Everyone has different needs, and the right time to collect depends on many things like health, lifestyle, family, personal preference, and many others. Second, the longer you wait, the bigger your check should be. Again, this could depend on your situation, and there's a slight chance that there could be changes that make this not applicable, but I can't imagine the government would do anything to remove these benefits or reduce them after you've already started collecting or once you hit the age where you're eligible. Generally, they're grandfathered. They don't make changes that affect people that are within 10 or even 20 years usually, I think, of retirement. So, but you never know what the government might do. And last, your Social Security age benefit is based on your highest 35 years of indexed income. So if you qualify for Social Security, but you've only worked for 20 years, you only have 20 years of income, it's going to average in 15 years of zero income, which will bring your total payments down, obviously. And the longer you work, if you're working at a high income level and you continue until your full retirement age, that could increase your benefit, especially if you continue to work past age 62. So if you work past age 62 and you're making the most income you've ever made in your life, then that will also increase your benefit. Thank you for joining me on this first topic. I have some planned scenarios to continue this series, but if you have suggestions or comments, please leave them below. Consider subscribing if you like this content and would like to learn more about personal finance. And if you're going to retire, retire to something.